Hi, welcome to Wakespeed. In this short video, we're going to show you how to download a configuration, a firmware update, and drivers, and put them on your desktop so that they're ready to go to be loaded into your regulator. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is open a window in our browser, and we're going to go to Wakespeed. We'll go to the Technical tab. And the first thing we're going to want to do is to download our drivers. The Windows drivers allow your computer to communicate with the regulator. So we're going to go ahead and open that. And you see here, it downloads as a zipped file. And then the next thing we're going to do is get our firmware update. And here we see we have WS500 version 2.4.3. And now we're going to go get a configuration. In this instance, we'll go ahead and use the rec BMS. We'll open that, and you can see here again we've got a zipped file. So at this point, we're going to go to our downloads, and we will start extracting these folders to our desktop. So we'll extract all, and we're going to extract it to our desktop and extract. Excellent. Now we can go ahead and close that guy. And close. We'll go back to downloads, and we're going to go to the rec BMS. And again, we're going to extract all. And we're going to extract it to our desktop. Extract. You can see we've got our rec BMS on the desktop. Close this guy, and we'll go back to downloads, and then the last thing we want to do is to extract our WS500 2.4.3 firmware. So we'll click on that, and then extract all, and we're going to extract it to our desktop, and extract. Now at this point, we can go ahead and close our download folder, as well as our browser. And you'll see we have a number of folders on our desktop that reflect the files that we just just extracted. So, first thing we're going to do is go to our drivers, and we're going to open up a driver. In this case, we've got a Windows 10 machine, so we're going to open that. And most computers these days are AMD 64, so we'll go ahead and open that up. And yes, we do want this publisher to make changes on our device, so we're going to do that. You'll see there's the installation wizard, ST microelectronics, which is the kind of chip we're using. And we'll finish that. Great. Now we have our driver loaded into our machine, and we're ready to go ahead and get our new configuration and new firmware into our regulator. Now the next step in loading our configuration and firmware into our regulator is to go ahead and remove the cover. The screws don't have to come out all the way. They're actually captured in the lid. Just 3/8, half an inch, something like that. Now we'll uncover our regulator. And looking inside, you'll see a USB plug and a reset button. Both of those are necessary for getting this regulator set up. So we'll go ahead and get those guys all sorted out. And in order to load the configuration in firmware, we're going to take a USB printer style plug that into our regulator, and the other end is going to plug directly into our computer. So we have our Wakespeed 500 plugged into our computer, and we're going to go ahead and load some firmware and the configuration. The first way I'd like to do this is to load both the configuration and the firmware at the same time. And in order to do that, we will go ahead and open up our Wakespeed 500 2.4.3. You could do the same thing with the configuration if you wanted to. And we're going to just make that window a little bit smaller. And we will then open up our Rec BMS configuration. And so the actual configuration is this text file here. So we're going to go ahead and copy that. And we're going to add it right over here in our firmware update. And we'll close the configuration window. And we're plugged into our regulator, so we'll go to Update. Now, this is a batch file, and I won't read the whole thing to you, but at the end of the day, what we need to do is press and hold the reset button on the regulator for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll hit any key to continue. Oh, and we found our regulator. We've erased our old firmware. Now we're downloading the new firmware. And our upgrade was successful. The configuration will be loaded into the regulator. Press and release the reset button on the regulator to return it to normal power. Press that once quickly. And then we'll count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And hit any key to continue. And you can see here we're clearing out our old configuration information. And we're loading a new configuration into our regulator. It says finished. Verify the updates completed without error. And once done, press any key to continue. So we'll get that all loaded. So that's how you would go ahead and load both the configuration and the firmware upgrade in one fell swoop. Now, we'll go ahead and load each one individually. Some people feel more comfortable with doing that. And so we'll go ahead and load our WS500 2.4.3. Now remember, we had our Rec BMS configuration text file here, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that. And now we just have our firmware update. So this 2.4.3.dfu is the actual firmware. So we're going to go ahead and update that again. And it's already in the regulator, but we'll go ahead and do it again. So we'll press and hold the reset button on the regulator for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and we'll press any key to continue. And you can see here again, we just erased the old configuration, or the old firmware rather, and we're downloading our new firmware. Okay, upgrade successful. We're going to hit the reset button on the regulator to return it to its normal mode. And then press any key to continue. And that closes us out. So we have our firmware loaded into our regulator. And now we're going to load our configuration. Again, we open the batch file folder and we check to make sure we have our rec BMS configuration text file, and that is the actual configuration. So now we'll go ahead and update. And when the USB cable is attached, which it is, we will hit any key to continue. Loading a configuration, and we will do that again. And we've cleared out our old configuration, and we've loaded a new one. Everything's completed without errors, and we'll press any key to continue. So this is how we load a configuration and a firmware update into the WS500 regulator. Thank you for watching, and I hope this has been helpful. We'll be posting additional videos in the near future for some of the other interesting elements of the WS500.